you saw it. I mean, they lost just silly little battles all over the pitch, notwithstanding the two big ones very, very early. I mean, Jalen gets beat on the first goal. I mean, Jalen and Edwin get beat on the first goal, and then again for the second goal, just a couple moments later, Jordan Morris beats pretty much everybody around him. So, it's just what I'm talking about. That this mentality. You can't go out there in a knockout and a knockout tournament, which Greg has been drilling into them constantly. One mistake and you're out. One mistake and you're out. In this case, it was two mistakes and they were out. But then to compound it, just like you mentioned to me, they gave up a silly goal at the end of the first half. On this one, Mark doesn't get a good enough header on the clearance, and it falls to a Seattle player who then gets it to Alex Rodon, who unleashes a goal last one. It's done. It's 3-0 right before the half. Demoralizing. I mean, anytime you get a goal right before the half, it's bad. Again, you get the third goal right before the half, you're done. I mean, what do you have to play for at that point? But you know what? We were talking about this mentality, but I spoke about how I was in the Schmetz conference and Albert Rusnak was there, and I put out a tweet. As soon as I heard him say it, I was like, oh man, Galaxy fans are going to love this one.
And this was pre-match, right? Just to set the stage. This is pre-match.
Yeah, this is pre-match. So as soon as I heard him say it, I was like, oh, Galaxy fans are going to hate it. And so he said in the Sounders press conference pre-match, defending his LA Galaxy's Achilles heel, and then when Albert Rusnak got on the mic, he just simply said they don't like to defend. He said they like. I mean, to expand on that one, he said they don't like to defend. They like to have the ball, and they don't like to not have the ball. So they weren't wrong. I mean, they weren't wrong. I mean, there was a lot of chatter about this. But as we see, Ananda said earlier, the stats don't lie, numbers don't lie. 13 goals allowed from set pieces, tied with Montreal for the most in MLS. Ananda, this is not a title winning team on this defense right here.
No, and I want to go back now to the earlier point, and so I would agree with you in that the mentality piece. That's I feel like. I mean, it's imposed on Vanny. He can only do so much, but the players have to carry out the instructions, right? A good friend of ours always says that it's the players that cross the white lines, not the manager, right? So I agree with you to a certain point. But now, going back to set pieces, this is for me, this is a coaching thing, Robert. And this is where I'm going to kind of parse it out and draw the line. I mean, this is a repeated pattern. 13 set piece goals allowed in MLS, right? We're tied for the most MLS goals conceded off of corner kicks. And here's the other thing too, man, is we're actually fourth in MLS in corner kicks conceded. So we're compounding that problem with conceding the most, one of the most in corner kicks as well. So I feel like it's one of these things, right? And it's like, we can give Greg credit for getting things right, but we also need to criticize. I mean, I think for me,
absolutely,
this is a repeated pattern that now needs addressing, whether it's extra video sessions, extra training, personnel, meaning like not only player personnel of who to mark, right? Clearly with, physical specimens like Nuhu and Yamar, I mean, you got to get a body on those guys, right? And maybe it's a personnel thing. I don't know. It's funny because Judge Sophie, I remember her asking, I think this might have been preseason or early in the season. She actually asked Greg, do you need a set piece coach, right? Obviously she's privy to that and she's sensitive to that because she covers Arsenal and Mikel Arteta. That's been publicized now that he, got Man City set piece coach, etc. But I mean, we have to look at those things, Rob. Like set pieces in an MLS Cup competition or in any cup competition, those are the fine margins. Those are the little margins that you need, that extra 10% to get you out of deadlocks, especially against top opposition, right? Against your LAFCs, etc. And you look at even on the offensive side too, Robert, we're bottom of the league with only 3 set piece goals scored. Maya Yoshida is a great set piece target. Like, why don't we take advantage of that? So now it's a very minute thing that I'm going to call out, but I feel like we kind of have to look at the coaching staff on the set piece thing because it's not a thing that's happened once or twice. 13 set piece goals. It's happened 13 times, right? It's one of the things we got to look at. And I don't want to go into an MLS Cup playoff game and have set pieces be our demise. And that's something that we know it's been our demise all season, right? That's like my worst enemy, and I don't want that sort of that alternate universe happening. So I think that's one thing that we kind of have to look at the coaching staff on, in my opinion, because it's been our Achilles heel, right, all season. And if all the fans know it, like we got to do something to address that issue.
Yeah, fans know it. Opposing teams know it. I mean, that's
Yeah.
why Schmetz and Albert Rusnak called it out. And you know, GCam said on the day he was most definitely not wrong. But yeah, I think it's a day-to-day thing. You know, some days the defense goes out there for the Galaxy and they play locked down. Unfortunately, in a knockout competition, it wasn't the day to not show up, and they didn't show up. So they get knocked out of this tournament 3-1.